Let's bring in Brian Mast, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, to dive deep on this. Congressman, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it. And as always, thank you for your
Always
service.
Glad to.
So I was talking to some administration officials last week, and Hamas knows that if there is a ceasefire deal, they are done in Gaza. The question is, what to do with them? Do you put them on a boat like Lebanon did with the PLO in 1982 and send them somewhere else? Or do you let them stay in some other capacity? How do you solve that?
Well, I think you speculate, number one, deportation is probably the most gentle and polite thing that we could do to them, because if they remain there, they're going to continue to get picked off. But it brings about bigger questions, as I suspect it did in the past, which is what happens to the relationship of those that take any Hamas leadership? Does that degrade our current relationship with them right now? What does it do for things like future weapons sales or future negotiations on trade or anything else when you have that worry about that part of their population into entering it? So I think those are big questions that take place. But again, the number one thing on the table has to be getting the hostages that are still alive home, and getting the bodies of those that have been killed again home so they can have proper dignity and burial.
One administration official that I chatted with last week, who has actually had face-to-face meetings with Hamas, said that one of the things that the Hamas leadership doesn't want is that PLO type of perp walk, if you will, as they're ushered out of Gaza. They want to avoid that. Is that possible?
I think what they're probably trying to speculate is, how do they still maintain some level of relevance? How do they, under any peace agreement, still continue to exist in Gaza or anywhere else and actually matter to the world? And that's what they want, versus what Israel and the United States of America wants to make sure is they have no relevance anywhere in the world. They can't conduct terrorist operations. They can't do another October 7 from Gaza or from anywhere else. And those things are certainly juxtaposed to one another. But I think, you're rightfully speculating, how do they not just avoid a perp walk, but how do they still keep some sort of mattering to the world?
So there's a sense that the time may be right for Benjamin Netanyahu to cut a peace deal with Hamas and end the fighting in Gaza. That if he had have done this 2 months ago, he probably would have been dead politically because of everything that happened with October 7th. But now that Israel has conducted a successful war against Iran, and the nuclear threat appears to have, at least for the moment, been taken off of the table, Netanyahu is back up to full strength again, and now he can afford to cut a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Do you read it that way?
I think not just, yes, he could probably afford to. We're at a high point in everything that has been going on throughout United States, Israel, and conflict with Iran, conflict with Hamas, conflict in any other place. Certainly at a high point. But I think you have to give Israel the latitude that every time the world told them, listen, don't you dare make this fight last too long after October 7th, or don't you dare go past Ramadan, or don't you dare go into this area of Gaza or this area. Every single time the world was wrong, and Israel continued the fight, and the world is a better, safer place because they continued the fight. The Middle East is a better place today because they kept continuing that fight. And so I give them that latitude to decide whether now is the right time to make that peace.
So one of the other topics that's going to be on the table tonight is Iran and a possible deal with Iran that the United States might make. Here's what the president said about that yesterday.
But we're working on a lot of things with Israel, and one of the things is probably a permanent deal with Iran. In other words, they have to give up all of the things that you know so well. The attack turned out, according to every single Atomic Energy Commission, that was a complete and total obliteration.
Congressman, are you optimistic at all that Iran might come to the table in any kind of bona fide and genuine way?
Yeah, I'm optimistic for this because I think they have a very genuine realization of what the United States of America can bring to bear, what in combination with Israel we can bring to bear, and that we will bring that to bear. I think when President Trump and the Prime Minister get together tonight, the President doesn't drink, but I think nonetheless they will raise a glass to probably the most effective, precise operation that has been conducted in decades, and they should raise a glass to that, but they'll also be discussing all of the what-ifs for the future, and I'm sure Iran is well aware that they're discussing those what-ifs.
Well, he could raise a glass of Coke, I guess. Just one other quick item. Congressman Gottheimer and Lawler are sponsoring the bunker buster bill, which would allow Israel to buy B-2 bombers and those massive ordnance penetrators. I imagine that just talk of a sale like that would strike fear into the heart of the Iranian regime.
I'd make a quick adjustment to that. That bill discusses asking for a feasibility assessment of doing that. I'm all for assessing that feasibility. I can give you my own personal assessment of that. I don't think it's extremely likely. Just one, there's some weapons that the United States keeps for ourselves. I think B2 and some of the ordnance that go in it will be that. And I think also if you calculate the cost of just one B2 and you compare that to the total budget of the Israeli military, I think you see it's probably prohibitive.
Well, I was out on the Potomac River with the kids on the 4th of July, and 2 B-2s flew right over us, and that's quite a sight to
Beautiful.
behold. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, see you again soon.